Hey YouTube, Sam here. Here we are yet again with the turd. And I'm having starting issues. This one's not even intermittent. This one just won't start all of a sudden. I'm not sure if I have an issue with that particular starter or an issue causing the starter wanting to keep running, but I'm thinking that the starter is part of the point. Now, I had a video on removing the starter already, but there are some other things that could be a bad relay, either causing it to go all the time or maybe not working at all for some reason now. Could be a few different issues. So we're gonna go through and if it's video worthy, you'll see more. In the car, we're gonna try and start it, and you'll kind of see, you'll hear the click. That click is the relay, at least inside here, trying to start the car. All the lights are coming on, so I do not believe it's a dead battery or anything like that. So we either got a problem with the switch, these things, problem with the switch, could be the anti-theft crap, although when I go to start it, the anti-theft light doesn't stay on. I don't believe it's on, but all those lights go on and there it goes off. So I do not believe it's the anti-theft. Could be that. And we also have some relays out here, and I'm not sure if any of the back of this starter. And I'm going to take a look. I can hear it clicking from out here. I'm not sure which one it is. So that one seems to be working. So if that one's working, then that does lead me to believe it's probably the starter. I'm pretty sure my switch in the car is working because the relay both inside and outside the car is working. So does not mean it's working for sure, but it's a pretty good chance that all the electrical is going where it needs to go. Now, had the one under the dash been clicking, but the one out here under the hood, the relay that is, not been making the clicking noise, then I would believe that maybe this relay out here was no good. But since it's making noise, then from there, the wires go down basically to the starter, send juice from the battery, and let the car start. So therefore, that's where I am going to go next. Now, I already have a video on this, so go check out that video. Go to my channel, click on my little face at the end of this video, little cartoon face, or go down below, probably, let's see, I'm probably backwards, so probably somewhere over there is my name for the Junk Works Garage. Click on that, that'll bring you my channel. From there, I have several playlists on all my different things, including this vehicle right here, the 01 Ford Escape. So go check out that. And I may have called this an Explorer yet again at some point in this video. I don't know. I have an 01 Ford Explorer and an 01 Ford Escape, and right now neither of them are running. So keep an eye out for the Explorer. That was what I was hoping to be filming today, actually. But unfortunately, this one decided to break down. I'm going to call this an update for my starter video as well, because in that video I talked about removing all this stuff here. And the book tells you to remove all that stuff, but honestly, you don't have to. And the reason I am a big believer in get it out of your way if it's in your way. I mean, I preach that all the time on this channel. But the reason I wanted to see, first of all, was for you guys out there to see if it was worth it not to do it. And second of all, bleeding the air out of this system has been kind of a nightmare, and I've had some overheating problems because of it, and you know, I've gotten it taken care of, but it took a little bit to try and bleed the air out of the system. So I really didn't want to crack the radiator open again and have to do all the coolant stuff. So I really wanted to try and do this without that. And you don't have to take all this stuff out. Now there's a caveat to that. To get, well, it'd probably be easier under here. To get to the bolt that is underneath all the coolant stuff on this side is a real pain in the butt. If you don't have something like this where you can put it down in there and ratchet it off of there, then you're going to be stuck with a regular wrench and you may not have the movement, but you can probably get it with a regular wrench. That just makes life a lot easier. Also, you'll notice the magnet here, it was a little bit more difficult getting the wiring off the back, and it'll probably be more difficult getting it on too because all this stuff's in the way. So yes, it was a little more difficult, but for the extra work it's going to take to empty your radiator, drain that out, pull all this stuff off, and refill your radiator and get all the air out, honestly, I probably would not take this stuff off. I would do it without that. So there's a bit of an update on the starter video. It's been a few days later. I actually went to the store. It was over like $112 or something. It was over $100 at O'Reilly's to get a stinking new starter. So I went online and I found one for, it was like almost $40. Cheapest one I could find on Amazon. And this is a actually pretty darn easy starter to do, even without removing stuff, so it's easy enough to get to. I decided I'm going to go with cheap, and we put the, 2-year warranty through Amazon on it, so if it dies within 2 years, I'll know better, and I'll either get a better one, or hopefully it won't die, and we'll be happy. But either way, checking out some cheap parts. I went with the cheap one on the alternator as well, and so far that one's doing alright. I may regret that, because if that ever goes out, I know that's a pain in the butt, but at least I know how to do it now. But anyhow, we'll take a look at this. And to be honest, right off the bat, I'm not super happy with their shipping. And I would assume that this would be how they shipped it, although that box is an Amazon box right there. And the only thing in it holding this big giant thing from moving up and down and side to side is a busted up piece of this. It's too heavy for it, so it just broke. I mean, there's nothing in there. That's the way it came. And then we got this box here. BBB Industries is what it says on the box. Superior 1 starter motor. Anyway, and I went to turn it over, and the whole thing just moved. So then I went to open it, and as you can see, it's just the starter in a box, and the box is all beat up. The starter looks okay. I don't exactly know what this is for, so I'm gonna have to look at that. And the instructions are also pretty beat up. This was just in here like that. It looked like somebody just crumpled it up and threw it in. So as far as shipping, not near as impressed as I was with the alternator that I got. But time will tell. What really matters is, does the starter work and how long the starter works for. So I'm going to do my reading and see what this is all about. That's not on my other one, so it might be for a different application, so we'll see. And do not remove this lead. Crimp and heat shrink to existing lead. So I'm assuming that this is actually supposed to be on here, but wasn't. But I don't have an existing lead, so I'm going to kind of went through stuff here. And first of all, I checked to see, are they the same? Do the holes line up? Pins line up? Are the gears the same? And from what I can see, this starter looks perfectly fine as far as the right type of starter. Now, here's the caveat. The reason that wire was on there is they sent this saying that years affected 1990 to 03, which mine is an 01, so it's an affected model. They can have a no crank condition due to the ignition lead, or one of the wires in there, basically the one that goes to the smaller 10mm one. They want you to cut that off and actually hook the end of this to it, and it comes with heat shrink to heat shrink over the top of everything, and to fix this no crank no start problem. Now here's the deal with mine. As you can see, the starter teeth right here, I can stick my finger in here. With this one, I can't, because this is stuck. Something went bad with this in here. Normally when you have a starter problem, it's this, and you can rebuild these pretty easy. And I think you can get kits to rebuild everything in a starter. But that's why I didn't rebuild this one, because I knew there's something wrong in this mechanism here. So I didn't feel like dealing with it. I need to get this done, so I ordered one online. And like I said, so I know it's my starter that's having the problem, and everything else, all in all, seems to be working fine. So instead of cutting and splicing wires, for now, I'm not going to do that. Now I will keep this and put it in a safe place, and if ever down the line I have a problem with that, and I can tell it's not the starter, I'll start out by replacing this, because it could be whatever this problem is. But for now, I'm just going to put it in the way it was. Something else on the back, for some reason, I don't know why, there's nuts on these, which I don't need for my application anyway, so I'm going to take those off so they don't fall down, because they're just loose on there. You don't want those falling in your motor or down in, God forbid, down in the actual place where the starter goes. That would really suck if one of these got caught in your teeth. Anyway, and it also did come with the nuts and bolts, or nuts and lock washers for the studs here. So I'm just going to throw this in. I'm gonna Plan B. I just figured out they made it so that the space between here and here on the new one is just far enough off that you can't put the original wire on there. So I'm going to have to deal with that. So anyway, I don't know if all the new starters for these are going to come that way because of this problem, or if it's just this particular one has decided they're going to take care of the problem. But right now I cannot get it to just go in. So if your plans are the same as mine, we're going to have to do something. And this is where I say, if you do anything I do and you mess something up, I'm not responsible. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't do it. But I took a 21/64 drill bit and I reamed the lower hole out for the wires on the starter, or not on the starter, on the starting, the wires that go to it. So the 10 millimeter bolt goes to, took the 21/64 drill bit and just kind of reamed it out a little bit. Now, caveat on that, it did want to spin and stuff, so I did have to grab a hold of it with a pair of pliers and kind of, you know, get it back in shape and hold on to it. But yet again, do it at your own risk. But I'm going to see if it works. Hopefully there's no problem. Worst case scenario, I got to cut up my wiring harness. But quite honestly, I'm pretty sure my wiring harness is perfectly fine, and I don't like the idea of cutting up a perfectly good wiring harness. So I'm going to go with it, and you'll find out what happens. Well, it's all in, buttoned up. That lower wire was pretty hard to get the nut on, that lower stud there. And the upper stud was actually 14 millimeter on this starter. For some reason they went from 13 to 14 millimeter, so you're going to need a 14 millimeter to do that one if you get the same starter as me, and if they don't just change that depending on what's going on in the world. But other thing, I removed this hose right here and almost forgot to put it back on because I'd forgotten about it, and then I couldn't figure out where the heck it went. But it goes kind of right behind this plug-in here of whatever goes in the throttle body there, some sort of sensor. Anyways, it goes behind that. I did have to remove that to get it in and out, so I don't remember if I said anything about that earlier. It's been a few days now. And excuse the sniffing yet again, still trying to get over a cold. Anyways, so it's all in. I got to button this all up. It should be all in the other video, so I'm not going to show that to you. This is just kind of an update on, you know, the actual different things that I went through to get this particular starter in here. And I mainly just the fact that I really think that it wasn't that hard to not have to remove all the stuff for the radiator. So I really wouldn't do that. That's the biggest point if you take nothing else out of this video. Well, I think I'm all done. Got everything buttoned up. All the hoses are back in place. Everything's where it should be. Got the air box back on and starter in. So, for the first time, I haven't done anything. We're going to both see together if this thing's going to start. I hope I'm right. Throw this in here somewhere in case I didn't already mention the reason why I just took out the other starter and put it back in, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in my other starter video, but that's actually been several months ago I did that. But the reason why I did that is I was doing that rear motor mount plate and that kind of stuff, if you haven't seen that video. So I had to tear that out just to get to that, so therefore I figured while I was tearing that out, might as well do a starter video. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just figured I'd mention that for people who are going to ask. Well, did this fix the problem? For now, it has. Hopefully, it was just the starter going bad, and that was the problem. When I turned it on, I didn't hear any weird noises. It didn't want to keep running, and that's the problem it was, I'm sure, because I didn't hear the sound. My daughter heard it probably a couple weeks ago, and, well, now it's probably been almost 3 weeks, but a few weeks ago she heard it, and then it was fine for a while, and then the day I brought it in here, as she was going around the corner to come to our house, it started making the noise again. She brought it home, shut it off, and told me it was making noise. I came out and it wouldn't start, and that's when I went around and smelled that brake smell. It was what it smelled like. Burning brakes is exactly what it smelled like. So anyhow, and then when I touched the starter, it was just super boiling hot. I couldn't even hold on to it. It was so hot. So that's when I knew it had something to do with the starter. Now, if it starts making the noise again, I told her to shut off the car and call me, because we'll probably tow it home so I don't toast up another starter. But anyhow, if there's any more problems with it, you'll know. Alright, this is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. You all have a good one.